Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
Muy buenas noches. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Once again, Christian here. Estamos solos. We're alone once again, except whoever is going to be watching with us. We might have somebody jump in here and there. For Kabbalah purposes, so we're just going to do this alone for now. And then we will have a surprise guest jump in. So if you are there, you are part of my Kabbalah. So make sure you say hello on the chat. Make sure Bayou Banter is full and going, and make sure you say hello. And I'm actually going to have a question of the day. So question of the day is going to be, what is your first World Cup memory? And then / what is your best World Cup memory / worst, I guess we could say. So I guess you can have both. Both can be, they can all be combined into one. They can all be different. They can all be three separate stories. But the three main points that we're going to talk about today is your best story, your worst story, and your first memory of a World Cup. I think we all have, we can look back into our life, into what, if we love soccer and all the things that we've done. And I think we all have the same, not the same, memories, but I think we can all pinpoint to a specific moment where we're like, oh, I remember, in 2002, putting stuff on the wall, or, whatever, 1998 or 94, 90, whatever, decade you're from, wherever you were watching, we all come from different countries, we all come from different cultures. So I think it's also awesome that even though we are different per se in this world, especially here in Houston, Texas, that we all have similar stories when it comes to the sport that we all love. So if you are on the chat, make sure you tune in, you make sure you comment, you let us know, and then we'll include you here. And like I said, I'm here by myself for now, but eventually, hopefully somebody will jump in and will be joining us as we go. But before we begin into the stories and to the yapping, as I like to do, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody that supports us on the Bayou Banter. We have a special Discord that is for the members only, that, you guys subscribe to us. If you need a link for that, is going to be in our website, BayouCitySoccer.net. And I think it's only like $3 a month. And that goes a long way for us, since, everything kind of comes out of our pockets in a sense, and to kind of keep this running. And that is a little help for us to kind of be able to do certain things, buy stickers to kind of give away, and, just kind of get and promote Houston soccer in the city. And obviously wherever we go, if we have to travel, and stuff like that, sometimes we get to travel, do away days with the boys. And Maddie, she's the only girl right now in our group, but it's fun. It's fun to kind of let everybody into the group, let everybody into our discussions, into our questions, and also you get a little bit, I guess we can say, privileges. We, as you guys know, we talk to a lot of Dynamo players, a lot of coaches, and you get sneak peek to those conversations, and you also get to ask questions as well. So some of the questions that you have, we can use them into those conversations that we have with these certain individuals that, pertain to the world of soccer here in our city. So BayouCitySoccer.net is the website. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you check out our social medias on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter. It's the same thing. And TikTok and Blue Sky. So make sure you find us over there at Bayou City Soccer. And make sure you, rate, subscribe if you're listening to this. And also, if you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you become a subscriber to the YouTube channel. We're at 620. We're trying to get to 650, hopefully by the end of the season. So that would be a great accomplishment to us. Eventually, we want to get to the thousands. But for now, we are pushing for the 650. So if you haven't yet, make sure you give a thumbs up on the video, and then you make sure you subscribe to that. If not, just make sure you let a buddy know. If you talk soccer with, especially now, man, now with the World Cup, I feel like a lot of people we'll become new fans of soccer. And you have to be the best evangelist of the Houston Dynamo, want it or not. And you're going to have to let them know that we are here. Bayou City Soccer is here to kind of give them that entertainment, those talks, those conversations about the team, information as well. And hopefully you guys can help us out grow as we help, Houston grow. 3-2 Norway against Senegal. So if you're watching, that's going on right now. And then later on, we'll have another game at 10 o'clock, which is to close down the Argentina group, which is something that we need to talk about. There's some history being made over there. But without further ado, let me just give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Unisport, make sure if you go into the stores, 2 locations, one in Tomball, one in the West Chase area, tell them that we sent you Bayou City Soccer and you'll get 10% off on your order. Some things might not be, but just make sure you go. Hopefully you get a nice discount from us. And then Elotes Bravos, of course, make sure you get that corner in the cup at the Fan Fest, at the stadium, everywhere you go. They're always there. They've become basically a staple here in the city. So shout out to them. And of course, Ugly Guppy has been there since day one. So shout out to Carlos and his whole team over there. Make sure if you need any embroidering, any company stuff that you may need, or for your kids or whatever it may be, a family trip or whatever it may be for a t-shirt, make sure you hit them up and let them know that we sent you so they can, get you right and hook you up over there. But yeah, thank you, Jeff. He said, congratulations. Let me put the chat. Let me see if I can put the chat on the screen. Yeah, show comments on the stage. There you go. So you guys can see yourselves and feel part of this. But yes, thank you, Jay. He's back. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I appreciate the love and support as always. But yeah, I don't know if you guys, let me write down the question here. 3 things. 1, your first World Cup memory. You can write it on the chat if you're there. First world, we're gonna put WC memory. Sorry, I'm a slow typer. Sometimes I feel like a grandpa. Number 2, best World Cup memory. I'll give you some time here to start thinking, and I'll talk about some of my own. And number 3, worst World Cup memory. I'm sure we have a lot of those. And here we go. There goes the thing. We're going to go ahead and pin it. I don't even know how to do that, but we're going to put it there. Okay. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start talking. Let me just go ahead and shout out Messi. I think we have to. Not only Messi, but Mbappe and freaking Haaland and all these guys that have been putting up goals. It's crazy that sometimes I was thinking the other day, isn't it crazy that we live in a time where we get to see these monsters like take over the World Cup and we are experiencing it live in flesh, in person. Like, when you think about imagine if you lived in the 2002, some of us a little bit older than others, but watching, the Brazil of 2002, very dominant, Joga Bonito, the beautiful game, just, dancing, the dudes, all the commercials that were them dancing in the locker room, and literally how they portray those commercials, it looked like they transferred to the field. So living in an era of that, living in an era of when we saw the glorious Spain of Barcelona, Real Madrid, 50-50 split almost of that crazy team. When we saw Zinedine Zidane in 98 winning with all those, great players. If you're Argentinian, you see the great run that Messi's having. World Cup, Copa America, World Cup, Copa America, and now obviously they're having a great tournament. I mean, you see France back-to-back finals with Mbappe. He won his first World Cup. I think he was 18, almost won it at 23. And honestly, at this point, they might be looking for a 3rd consecutive final, which is insane. But then, you see beautiful stories like Morocco had last tournament, 4th place. Costa Rica having that great run, when they did. When you have freaking the handball of Luis Suarez, against Senegal, if I'm not mistaken, one more time to kind of push them through to the penalty spots, and then they won that game. All these crazy stories that come out of of the World Cup. And as the Tim Howard game back in, what was it, 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Tim Howard went crazy, saved the whole world. And the memes, I remember the memes were, it was Ghana, not Senegal. The flags are similar though. But yeah, like Tim Howard saving the world. And now, right, this year we have Cabo Verde or Cape Verde, and we have Curacao, two teams that honestly, they were supposed to be the pushovers, right? They were supposed to be the two teams where countries were going to, score a bunch. We saw that in Germany, Curacao. I think, it was kind of expected, or at least that's what we expected of Cabo Verde to be. But I mean, they tied against two potentially, I guess we could say, superpowers. I mean, two world champions, Spain and Uruguay, and they give them a heck of a fight. I mean, Spain didn't know what to do with Cabo Verde, and then Uruguay was just, two mistakes led to two goals, and then they couldn't be sure of what was going to be, and Curacao and Cape Verde have become, the Cinderellas of this game. And then we saw Congo, tie with Portugal. Portugal also another team that is supposed to be a contender, a team that has, Bruno Fernandes, who just set a record in the Premier League. And then you have, greats like Cristiano Ronaldo. And then you have, all these dudes that play, all the guys that, I would name them, but I don't remember the names, to be honest. But we know who we're talking about. All these guys that play in the Premier League, and they're all top notch. And if we're living through those times, so it's awesome to see, and it's awesome to. I mean, that history was literally made in Houston, so we were there for it. Me and Manny and some of the other guys, Omar taking pictures. Aldo has a beautiful story too that I'm gonna leave for him to share eventually. But I would love Aldo to come in here and tell. He has such a great World Cup story. I promise you guys that when this World Cup ends, Aldo, sometime at this point, I know you guys probably don't know Aldo. He's one of our photographers. You probably see him in the background, but he has probably the dream. He's living a dream right now. And then you have guys like Enrique, also a photographer that is part of our group, and Omar also, taking pictures, great pictures. Most of the pictures that you see on our website, this from those three guys. And I think, just all these storylines that we see, and it's just amazing. It's amazing to see the beauty of the World Cup, as Jay Hurtado says. But yeah, let's get to the stories. If you are listening to me, if you're under the sound of my voice, and the cat, hey cat, chill out, bro. But if you are there, I know we have a few people watching with us right now. Please be part of the show. Please be part of these stories that we're gonna tell. I really honestly want to listen, or not listen, but I honestly wish we had like a phone to be able to like call in. We need to work on that. But it would be awesome to kind of have an audio thing. But if you are able, if you're not driving, if you're listening to this at home, if you're able to type it, please give me your story. I would love to read it on the comments. Jay Hurtado and Jeff, please help me out with this one. I want to know what your first World Cup memory is, your best World Cup memory, and your worst World Cup memory. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my first World Cup memory, and I'm actually going to turn the clock back all the way to 1998. I was 6 years old. I was born in 1992 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, as you guys know. And in 98, I remember being in school, and the teacher will roll, like, I don't know, I can't remember if we had a TV or she would roll a TV into the room. But literally, because in Argentina, the school starts in March and it ends in December. 1998. Woo, yeah. We all, bro. We're from a different century. Can you imagine? Well, I don't know, Jay Hurtado, you seem young. I don't know. But yeah, and I remember we would stop in the middle of class and we would watch the Argentina games, and we would sing the national anthem, and we would watch the game, and then as soon as the game was over, we would go back to school, which was crazy because after a high of watching a 2-hour soccer game, how can you go back to school? Like, how do you round up kids that have been crazy for whoever, Batistuta and Crespo and all these guys that were there. But yeah, that was, so I remember that kind of like blurry, but I also remember being in my house, and this memory actually came up because the other day we were with Manny and our friend Cesar Procer. Shout out to Cesar from Tude en Radio. We were talking about the Netherlands game in Sweden. That's the one that we were at covering, and we were talking about the two teams and how good they are and kind of like their history or whatever. And I remember telling him, I was like, oh, like I forgot, I'm supposed to hate Netherlands, or not supposed to hate them, but the Netherlands was actually the first team I've ever hated. I hate a bunch of them now. Not hate. Hate is a terrible word. Don't use that. Strongly dislike. So in that category, we're gonna have, of course, River Plate, but that's a club team, so that doesn't count. And we're gonna have the Netherlands, Germany, of course. We have to 2014. And then for some reason, Brazil just because it's Brazil. But other than that, I don't think anybody else. I guess Brazil, not Brazil. With France, we started a little rivalry, but it's just a final. But those are like Germany and probably Netherlands, just because of that memory. So my memory is that I'm watching the game, and like the TV is like on the wall, kind of high. It was mounted in 1998, which is strange, or at least that's what I have in my head. And I just remember running up and down. There was we had like a little hallway in our house. It wasn't a hallway. It was just kind of like a space between like a wall and the dining room table, and it just kind of made a hallway. And I had my soccer ball, and I would run back and forth like with my ball, and like kind of like controlling it. So I was like doing some drills already at 6 years old. And I just remember like stopping, looking at the TV, and then I don't know if you guys know Orteguita. Ariel Ortega. He used to play for River. He played in Turkey. I think he played in Russia, but one of those old school dudes. And he got fouled. He didn't get the call, and then whenever he was standing up, the goalkeeper for the Netherlands was like over him. So he was a short guy. Ortega was a short guy. He's probably like 5'5", 5'4", and the dude was like towering over him. And then when Ortega gets up, he hits him with like the top of his head to the bottom of his chin. So the guy, obviously, he's like, oh, like they cut his throat basically. And then Ortega gets a red card, and then that kind of it dictated somewhat the shape or how the game ended or how the game went. And I remember we got eliminated by the Netherlands in 1998, and that's where my hate basically started. Not hate, dislike, strong dislike. Let me hold on. I had a confirmation, or one of my guests kind of turned me down, so it's okay. We're gonna write, you good, bro. Shout out to Manny. Manny's busy. But so that's my first World Cup memory. I don't know if you guys have any first World Cup memories. Please write them down. I want to read them. I don't want to make this a monologue, even though I love it. You guys know that I love to talk. And then I have a game, not the game, but the thing over there. So they're talking over there. We probably won't get to that game on the stream, but we'll see what happens. I like to talk. What are we talking about? We're gonna talk about the worst World Cup memory. So the only one that comes to mind is 2014, the 2014 final, just because that probably is the most recent one. And it was the first final that Argentina was getting to in my life, like in my timeline, basically. So in 2002, if I'm not mistaken, Argentina didn't make it out of the group stage, which was terrible with Bielsa, which is crazy because he's still coaching. So that, I mean, imagine how old this man. He's 70 years old, so by the way. But that was that. But then 2014 was the other one that we made it all the way to the final. 2014. I was actually at church. So I went to this church that it was probably 80% Argentinians. It was almost cultish, but it was the good kind of cult. And we were watching in the main like place of the church. We were watching the game, and it was just a bunch of Argentinians because that was the biggest TV that we had in that location. And we were all there. It was kind of like dark, and then we just had the TV on. Everybody had their jerseys on, flags, and everything. We were singing, and as Argentinians typically do. But obviously, the detail in that is that since we were in a church in a proper place, you couldn't curse, you couldn't yell obscenities, you couldn't yell at the people, you couldn't yell at the players, you couldn't say damn you Germans, or like something like that, just because out of respect to where you were. So it was a very difficult time because all the emotions and everything like builds up of like, oh, like I hate this moment. Because if I'm not mistaken, we went 0-0 the full game. We went to extra time, and extra time Argentina scored in the first half of extra time, if I'm not mistaken, and then in the second half, freaking, I can't even remember his name, but a cross came in. He was in the middle of the box. He stopped it with his chest. He like turned this way because the goal was like to his side, and then like he kicked it kind of like a scissor kick, and that was the end of it. That was the end of it. We went to PKs, if I'm not mistaken, and then we missed that. Or I think that goal might have been the end of it. I don't remember specifically. I just know that the pain was very, very like painful. And I remember usually after church, we would all get together and play soccer or volleyball. But that day, everybody just went home. So it ruined completely our day because I think that game was like at 2:00 or something like that. It was right after church. So everybody was excited. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a great time. Argentina's going to win our first World Cup, in our timeline, because most of us, we're not born or we're very, very young for 1986, which was Argentina's second time being champion. And this was going to be it. This was going to be our memory, our core memory. And we were going to do it, with a group of people that we cared about, we loved. And, we shared, a lot of things like faith and just love for the game and stuff like that. But Germany said, nah, fam, we're going to take this one from you. And Germany took it. And it was just painful. It was just pain. It was just like stabbed to the heart. And I think that was the time that Messi said that he was going to retire. And he actually did retire from the national team. But then eventually he came back and, we know what happened. So enough about me. Let me read a comment here from Jay Hurtado talking about his first World Cup memory, and then we'll go to I think a lot of you have seen it. If you haven't yet, then I'll tell you where to go. But let me go to Jay first. He says, my first World Cup memory was getting the 2000. God, you're tiny, bro. You're a young child. Was getting the 2006 Germany FIFA. Oh, yeah, that wasn't Germany. FIFA Wii game for PSP. This guy. For PSP 2010 World Cup. Okay, hold on. Oof. This is too much at once. All right. In 2006, he got Germany. In 2006, Germany, he got the FIFA game, a Wii game for PSP. All right, bet. Pause. 2010 World Cup was the first World Cup I actually anticipated and followed from the start. Okay, there you go. There you go. See, periods. That's awesome, man. That just shows your age, because mine was 1998. I remember 1998, and it was 2002. So, funny enough, 98 was in Argentina. 2002 was already in the United States because we came in 2000, and I remember that that year was in Korea, Japan, or Japan, Korea. And those games were like at, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And I remember I would wake up because it was summer, right? So I would wake up or stay up to watch those games. And I had posters. So we had like bunk beds with my brother, with both of my brothers. And where I had my bed, I had like the newspaper, which is something that I wish they still did it. But it was like a newspaper. I know the Panini book has it, but it's different because you can't rip it off and put it on your wall. I guess you could, but it would ruin the book. But the newspaper would have it, and then it would have all the games, all the times, lots, and who's playing what and where and all that. And then you can go in and fill in all the scores. And then whenever the knockout rounds came, you'll be able to fill out your the bracket and stuff like that. So it was super, super awesome. Like now is 104 games. Back then it was a little bit less, so you could actually maybe watch them all, because now you have a bunch of games more. So it's wild. But back then it was doable. But it was crazy because it was at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So my parents will come into the room and be like, bro, what are you doing? It's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll be like, bro, woke up. What's going on, dude? Like, what you want me to do? The first game would start like at midnight. The last game would be like at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Literally I think that year we lived at night and we slept throughout the day. All of us that, didn't have a life or had a summer of school and stuff like that. So, and if I was 6 in 98, 4 years later, I was 10. So I was like 10 or 11 for that World Cup. So insane 10-year-olds staying up all night and just watching soccer. And I can't remember much of that. I just know that Japan, I think, had a good run. But at the end of the day, yeah, Joga Bonito, I think, was the go-to at that time. Yes, these were a gift from one of my cousins that played in college. And then he didn't wear them anymore. And he gave them to me, and I wore them, and these were the last cleats I've ever worn. So they're just here to remind me that I played once. maybe someday I'm gonna get into like in over 30 or I'm over 30, but I'm 34 still. Next year I'll be 35. Maybe I'll get in an over 35 league or something like that, and then I'll have to buy new cleats because these are broken. These are a little opened up right there, but I really like the black, and it kind of went from pink to green, and they were free, so you can't say no to free stuff. You know what I mean? So those were the Adidas. I don't know. The other shoe is actually in the back of my car because I always had my cleats in the back of my car because you never know. You never know who's gonna call you. You never know who's gonna need you. You never know when the game is gonna the pickup game is gonna come up, and you're gonna have to be ready. Always keep a pair of shorts, some socks, and some cleats in the back of the car, just in case. That's what we used to do back in the not that back in the day because I didn't have a car, but I always wore shorts under my pants every day of my life, just in case. Yep. Andy Mineo, one of my favorite rappers, says, "If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready." So it's kind of like a little motto I kind of live by, or I try to at least live by. I don't do it often, but I try. Okay, so we're gonna go to our best memory, if you have one. As the people kind of pile on, if you are new to this conversation that we are having here at Monologue, I want to know, what is your first World Cup memory, your worst World Cup memory, and your best World Cup memory? If you have one, throw it on the chat. I'll read it. We had Jay Hurtado here. He is so young that his memories include video games. In 2010. That's how young this kid is. Mine go back to the 90s, so believe that. But yeah, the best, obviously, I think it's pretty obvious. One of my best one is just because of the emotions and everything. So last World Cup, actually, I live streamed. So I used to live stream a lot. I had a little bit more time. I have time now, but it's different. It's kind of, I can't get it right on time. And now, we're a little bit more involved with Bayou City Soccer and doing all these things, covering some of these matches here in Houston and stuff like that. So I would love to stream a little bit more, but now I have a full family and a wife and kids and all that, so it can be a little bit difficult to stream. But sometimes you can, sometimes you don't. But 4 years ago, my kids were a little bit smaller, so even though they're still great kids and they go to bed early, I was able to do it. I was able to live stream those because those were kind of actually kind of like the same time as now, like 10 a.m. They were kind of early games. So my wife, whoa, somebody is moving the gate and that scared me. All right. No ghost, please. My bad. Y'all see me? I got scared. But my wife would take the kids and she would, take them to the park or sometimes like not even, they would just stay in the house. Bro, somebody needs to stop moving this gate because but yeah, the cat's trying to get out. It's all right, cat. You'll be out in a minute, bro. Yeah, so she would just watch the kids and make sure that they didn't go into the room that I was like, red card. Yeah, that would be wild. We should do that, like a mix of like Paranormal Activity and soccer. That would be awesome. I don't know how we would play that, but don't count me in for that. I don't do scary movies. But going back, so yeah, I live streamed all those games. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. I think it's still 442 QUATTROQUATTRODOS. I love saying that. And 442, your boy over here used to live stream Dynamo games and obviously react to them and do a bunch of like just soccer games and stuff like that. And I did the whole World Cup. The whole World Cup. I did all of Argentina games, from the first one to the last one, on the screen, people watching, people laughing, people crying, people, everything. Imagine watching a game with me. I don't know if it's good or bad, but some people would tune in, some people would tune out, and then I would do little clips. If you go to I don't know if we have them in the 442 page, but I changed my name. I was starting this new thing called AMF, which is Anti-Modern Football, but then I switched it up to History Football Club. History Football Club, bro. If you haven't listened to History Football Club, after you're done listening to this podcast, if you like history and you like soccer, I did only 4 episodes. I need to do more because now I have more time. But I did the histories of of clubs. So I did 4 clubs. But if you look up on Spotify or Apple Music or not Apple Music, Apple Podcasts and stuff like that, History Football Club, and that's gonna be your boy talking about. It's about hour-long episodes about history of clubs. And if you like it, I try to produce it very nice, but honestly, between research, producing, and actually recording and everything, and then editing, it just takes so long that I was draining myself and family and stuff like that. But there's not a therapy session. But go listen to History Football Club. I think it's my best work yet. But someday we'll actually get to it and do awesome work over there. But going back to the videos, 442. Oh, we can't do that. Let me see. If you go to 442, we have the full videos there. And then if you go to, just History Football Club and Instagram, I should have some clips over there of those. But damn, look how young this kid is. Beautiful kid. That was me 5 years ago. Can you believe that? I used to do stuff. All right, man. And my first video is 6 years ago. That's crazy. All right, whatever. This is not a show about me. It is a show about me. But what was I saying? Oh, Algeria is lighting up. I wish I could read the names. Too far away. Zidane, bro. The son. Goalkeeping. Kind of whack. But best World Cup memory, obviously Argentina winning the World Cup. The roller coaster of emotions in that game. If you go back and watch the video, if you go watch the little clip on the Instagram on History Football Club, I think it should be there. My reaction video, and I clipped it a little bit. I got the best moments out of it. bro, the emotions. I think Jeff was there, and then just getting all the way to the end, and then when Montiel scores the last free kick, or not free kick, penalty, and then the save from freaking Emi Martinez with the leg stretching it out, and then just the goals and just the highs and the lows, and Mbappe freaking hat trick on a freaking final, and then Messi also trying to win this damn World Cup that has been evading him this whole entire life, and now he's fulfilling his dream, and now he's basically conquering that last stone on his Thanos glove or whatever it's called. It was just amazing, and at risk of sounding like a little girl, I broke down. I started crying on camera. I always tell people, like all my soccer friends, I told them, I was like, if there's one emotion that I wish anybody could feel, or like just one thing that I like, when that saying, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Well, this is the opposite. I wish everybody, I know it's not going to be possible, but I wish someday every single person that loves soccer or loves the soccer team could experience the emotions that I felt that day. Because this is going to be blasphemous what I'm about to say, but especially if you're a lady and you have kids, I truly apologize. If you're my wife, I'm so sorry, but like the ecstasy of becoming a dad and the ecstasy of winning the World Cup are very equal. Obviously, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, but just the when you become a dad and like you see the kid for the first time, and like just the emotions of like, oh man, like now I have somebody to care for type thing, and it's like this person relies on me, and I love this person without them loving me back, and just all these things, yeah, like the chancla, but all these things that that dads, or even if you're not a dad, I think if you ever love somebody, a girlfriend or boyfriend, or significant other, or even like if you love your mom and your dad, and you're like, man, I could literally, like, and you picture yourself in your head, I could literally die for this person. Like, I would not mind taking a bullet for this person. That was like, so that's like the feeling of love, of like unconditional love that you have for anything. I know we are psychopaths. Argentinians are psychopaths, and but that's kind of like what we feel for soccer. And I always tell people, like, it's not about like the sport itself, which it is, right, in a sense, but I think for a lot of us, not only Argentinians, I think it's for a lot of cultures, like it brings you, it's a sense of belonging to a group, right? I think as human beings, we all want to belong, right? I mean, I wear blue and yellow everywhere I go. I Aston Villa, I rep it, and when I see another dude wearing Aston Villa, I go and I'm up to him, and I'm like, up the Villa, bro. And just being a part of a group, I think it's just part of our humanity, part of who we are as people, as human beings, right? Wanting to be part of something, a group, just a group of people that love each other and have something in common, right? That we all have a common purpose, a common goal, and that's kind of like how societies work in a sense, right? But these are obviously societies in a way smaller scale. But this one, involves a sport. It involves colors, involves flags, it involves just passing down generations of emotions and love. I mean, I always tell like people, my dad, I'm a Boca fan because my dad was a Boca fan, and he's a Boca fan because his grandfather made him a Boca fan. And I started thinking, like, okay, who made his grandfather a Boca fan? Probably his dad, right? And then you're like, okay, but how far back? Because obviously Boca was founded in 1905, but then, thank you for the Father's Day, appreciate that. Shout out to all the daddies. That's not weird. Shout out to all the dads out there. Appreciate you loving your kids. Please love your kids. Love your kids. But yeah, like, founded in 1905. if my dad's grandfather was born in 1940, let's just say that 1940s, 1950s, which is probably 1940s or 30s. Like, Boca wasn't even a thing. It's kind of like, think about the Dynamo. The Dynamo are celebrating their 15th year, right? And or was it, no, 15 year? No, 20th year, 20th season, right? 2005, 2006. So imagine like us, right? Like us, we are Dynamo fans, right? We are Dynamo fans, and we're gonna pass this down, or this love, to our kids, to our grandkids. And then imagine, like, we, or at least me, I am going to be one of your grandkids in the future. Like, that grandkid, if he loves history and weird stuff like I do, he's gonna look back and he's gonna be like, man, I remember, like, my grandfather, he was like in the beginning of the club, and now freaking the Dynamo is gonna be, like Monterrey or Tigres or Chivas America, name a Mexican team that you like, or name a Chelsea or Arsenal or Aston Villa or, United, and, or, City. And those teams that have hundreds of years under their belt. The Dynamo is going to get there one day, and we are going to be the ones that started that, that flicker of orange love for this people. And it's crazy to think that, because we're here in the beginning. I mean, I think Jeff, it may be somebody watching or listening to this, you were there in the first games. You were there whenever it was announced that San Jose Earthquake was coming to Houston. You were there at Robertson Stadium, and you're gonna tell your kids or your grandkids, "Oh, I was there before show." Like, back in my day, like, we didn't have stands, we didn't have nice little mesh chairs, we didn't have elotes bravos, at our thing. You're just gonna be like, we just had like freaking cement stairs that we sat on. Like, I always think about these things, and it's like, man, we're making history for like future generations of lovers of the sport, and that hopefully they're gonna look back and be thankful at us being able to pass down these things. And that's how I see the sport, and that's how I see the emotions. I see it as a sense of belonging. And then for me, being in a country away from my country, it's also, it's like a piece of me kind of stayed there too, in a way. Like, it's my lifeline to my home country. It's like my string that still kind of connects me. Like those divers that go in the caves, and they leave a rope so they know how to come back, in those caves when they're swimming or diving or whatever. It's kind of that. Like, we're over here tying the ropes in different countries, and that's what our, if you have a dad that is like a Chivas fan, like Rudy, for example, he has or not even, if you were born in a different country, you have that line that was started over there, and you bring it over to the US, to Houston or wherever you're at, and it's just like that. Like, it's your attachment to your culture, the attachment that you have to it's like foods or words, or like la chancla, or like all these customs that we have that keeps us rooted to a certain group of people that we belong to. Eventually, maybe you will belong to another group of people, right? But for now, these are your people until you create your own group. And I think that's what we're doing. It's crazy, because I think about it, and it's like, that's what we're creating with the Dynamo. In a sense, we're creating a new tribe of orange, where we're finding new tribe mates. I mean, people from LA like Jay, people from here in Houston like Jeff. We're creating new tribe members into a new tribe, but with a different color now, with orange, and we're just kind of moving that forward in a sense. I don't know, I'm weird like that. That's how my brain works. But all to that is because I'm just an emotional person, and all these things bring me emotion. And going back to the World Cup in 2022, it's one of those things, like, it unites you to people. Like, I remember there was this, I met a guy, and he was Argentinian, And actually, fun fact, he is the cousin of Lionel Scaloni, who is the Argentina's coach. And the reason I found that out is because he had a shirt that said Scaloni Remodeling. And I was like, do you know that your name is the same as like a coach? And he's like, yeah, I'm Argentinian. That's my cousin. And I'm like, no shit. He's like, yeah, bro. He's like, how do you know? I was like, I'm Argentinian. And so like we built, like we didn't know each other, right? That was before the World Cup. And I didn't see him till after the World Cup. So my first interaction with this man was just that. And I told him, I was like, hey, can I take a picture? Actually, I might have a picture on my phone of that. If I have a picture, I'll send it on the group chat. Let me I don't know if I'm gonna find it, to be honest. But if I find it, I'll throw it on the group chat so you guys know that I'm not lying. Let me see. Scaloni. No, I don't have it. Dang it. Okay, I'll find it and hopefully, and I'll put it on the group chat if I do. And then I didn't see him till about 2 months or a month later, which was the end of the World Cup. And the first thing we did, we looked at each other. We went like this to each other, like from far away. And when he got closer, I went around, I met him, and we hugged. I'm telling you, I've seen this guy one time and one time only, and I spoke to him for 5.2 seconds. And it was like a quick exchange of words, like, oh, you know this? Do you know that? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, good luck. See you later. That was the extent of our conversation. And the next time I saw this dude, we gave each other a hug like we were best friends for life. And it was just because we had a common bond, right? We had a common, like this freaking thing right here, this freaking weird shaped thing that sometimes looks like something else. That united us in a sense, and I think that's like, like, I don't know if you guys know Webb Tilton, I forget his name. Sorry, Webb, if you're listening. But I remember I saw Webb when I first started going to the Dynamo stadiums, and then he lived in Katy, I lived in Katy, and I would see him around, and I'd be like, man, that's Webb, right? He was like, Dynamo super fan, and like we had that in common. So one time I approached him, I was like, hey, how's it going? I know who you are, right? I'll being all weird and creepy. And he's like, how do you know? Like, I was like, oh, I'm a Dynamo fan too, like a new Dynamo. He's like, oh, awesome, right? And like we had a bond in a sense. And then I don't know where I'm going with this, and now he lives in Spain because we have him on social media, and the dude is like over there promoting like the Dynamo and freaking Spain, like in Valencia. And it's crazy because like you build those bonds, you build those things, and you're out there to like you become basically an evangelist of your club. And it's crazy because like I have a lot of people in my life personally, friends that don't care about soccer, or maybe they do, like they are Premier League guys, or they don't watch MLS, they're anti MLS because MLS sucks and stuff like that. And they have become Dynamo fans, or at least it like woke that curiosity for the Dynamo, because they're like, bro, we live in Houston, that's our hometown team. It's soccer, it's pro soccer. Why not support it, right? Like, yeah, they could be good, they could be bad, good seasons, bad seasons. Why not support the team that it's here, right? The closest one that we have. I mean, the closest thing to going to a Premier League game, or, enter the league that you like. So I'm almost done, Kat. I'm almost done, I promise. But yeah, man, I mean, I think I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just ranting at this point. Hopefully I don't get fired for this. But I love this game, man. I love it so much just because of all the emotions that it brings, and just watching all the, I don't know if you guys seen the Norway game, and having freaking 10,000 people do like one simple chant or whatever it is that you call that, that Viking row, and like how united they were. And then going to the stadium at Houston Stadium and seeing the Congolese, seeing the Curacao people, seeing the Germans, seeing the Dutch. I mean, bro, that Dutch walk was amazing. I didn't get to experience it live. I saw them from afar, but people that didn't. I mean, I saw a lot of Astros jersey and a lot of Dynamo jerseys, which honestly, it just kind of melted my heart a little bit. It was so awesome because I was like, man, we have a lot of freaking Dynamo people here. Like the amount of Dynamo jerseys that I saw that day, honestly, I was so happy. I really wish I had freaking more stickers to kind of pass them out, because that's honestly what I should have done. But I didn't think about it, honestly. But it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful to see all these Astros and Dynamo jerseys kind of blend in with the Netherlands, because they were becoming part of the tribe. They were fitting into a beautiful thing, a group of people, and they just did something awesome and simple as walking, and that basically became your tribe for a moment. It became your people for a moment, and now maybe a lot of those people will support the Netherlands. I don't know, for the rest of their life or for the rest of this tournament. And it's just awesome to see. I'm not going to support him. I don't like him, but it's just awesome to see like those things the same way, like you see Cabo Verde or you see freaking Curacao put up really good games, and you're like, man, I think I like these guys. The hustle. You just kind of you feel represented by some of these players in a weird way. It's like, how am I represented to a goalkeeper that is 40 years old and plays in the second division of Portugal, Bocinha? It's like, I don't know. I'd never heard of this guy till now, but guess what? I'm pulling for him, man, because he's been saving everything. And that's just the way it goes. Like, you just create bonds in football, and it's beautiful. It's lovely. And I think it's awesome. And I think it's awesome that Mexico is doing great. I think it's awesome that the United States is doing great. Canada is doing all right. And I think everybody's freaking thriving at this point. And I love it, man. I love it because I feel like all of us are winning. And I don't know. And I love it. Obviously, eventually, they can only be one winner, and that's going to be us. But I just think it's awesome that, the USA is getting so much backing from Americans. Obviously, it helps when you do good, and they're doing great, and I mean, they're already in the next round. Mexico also, I mean, there's, as much as I throw hate or throw shade on my Mexican fellow friends, Mexicans in general, they're super loyal to their colors, man. You gotta love Mexicans, because anything can happen, but they're always gonna wear their freaking green jersey everywhere they go, and that's something that you can't buy. You can't buy loyalty, and being loyal to your colors. It's a beautiful thing. Even if you freaking suck, like, being loyal to your colors, it's a must. And that's why we're bringing it back. We're going to be loyal to the orange, baby. Pero bueno, I think I've talked a bunch. Let me look at the comments. I haven't even looked at them. Like Batman, Bayou City Soccer fam, shout out. The Dutch in Houston is crazy, 100%. I put on my Houston jersey oh, there you go. Awesome. And then Jay say, I got to start trying to convince Memphis to stay in Houston. Hey, bro, we're trying over here. We're trying. Let me get a sip of water real quick. But yeah, guys, I don't know what else to say. I spoke about an hour about love and stuff. But yeah, man, this game makes me emotional. We're talking about emotional. This Saturday, I'm going to go to Dallas to watch Argentina versus Jordan. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to cry. And I was thinking about it actually today when I was at work. I was like, because I had the game on, and I have a few friends that went to today's game. And, I've seen the stories and seen all these people come from Argentina, and just kind of being there to experience it and support and love, the national team. And I was like, man, I'm going to be in the stadium. And I was like, should I record myself? Like, like let's just say, like, for example, Messi had a penalty, right? Half of those people were probably, with their phones out. And I was thinking to myself, like if I was there, I would probably do the same, to be honest. But I was like, I want to enjoy the moment. I don't. I probably won't have not one video, not one picture. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna record yourself like this mixing gets. No, honestly, I think I'm just gonna go. Even though I'm gonna go as media, right? I'm not supposed to like be fanboying, but I'm gonna fanboy anyways. I don't even know if I'm gonna spend any time in the box. I might just walk around the entire game and just kind of blend in a way. And I think I'm just gonna enjoy the emotions. Um and I mean I'm just thinking about it right now. I kind of get teary eyed, which is so dumb. It's just soccer, but like it just means so much being around your people, being around your tribe, being around just knowing that, like, for example, a stupid thought that I had is like as soon as this tournament ends, everybody gets to go home, right? And even though this is home for me now, Texas has become home. Like as a the little kid in me still kind of wants to go home, right? In a sense, I don't know if I would live in Argentina, but it's like I want to go visit, or I want to go like see my family, or I just want to go see or like step in the same field that I played at, or just kick a ball in the same field that I kicked the balls at, and just kind of I want to do that one more time before I die type thing. Um and yeah, not to get it into a lot of detail, but I can't do that, right? I can't do that right now. And I hope that one day I will, but it's like whenever they leave, it's like, man, see you guys, see you guys, see you guys later. Like I'll be there, I'll be right there, guys. Wait for me. And even though I probably won't know any of these freaking people, but it's just feeling that freaking love of like, man, these are my original tribe. I have other tribes that I made now, and which I love. I love my Aston Villa tribe. I love my Dynamo tribe. I love all these teams that I have adopted. It's just those two, honestly. I've always wanted to cheer for a Premier League team. I just didn't want to go corny and do a freaking Chelsea, United, City, Arsenal, all these freaking everybody's. It's easy to be a fan of teams that win, but I mean, I say that as a Boca fan, but this is legacy. It's not just pick the winner of the time, and I mean we see that with the freaking Dynamo. It's not easy being a Dynamo fan. And also, that's not a diss to all my all my Chelsea, Arsenal, City, United fans. You have your reasons why you became a fan, so it's not a diss. But that's how my brain works. And yeah, so I just became an Aston Villa fan, and I adopted it. Honestly, today, funny enough, I've been thinking about this today because I was like, what can I say in this freaking podcast? And I was like, I'm starting to. I want to say that I love Aston Villa too. I looked at my wife asked me the other day, how long have you been supporting Aston Villa? And I went back and I was like, since 2019, 2020 season when they came up from the championship. And I was like, man, I'm going into my 7th year following Aston Villa. And Aston Villa just won their first European trophy since 1982, which also it's crazy because a lot of the guys that are in my Aston Villa group never seen Aston Villa lift a trophy. And this was their first trophy. And I was like, I want to get a tattoo of that. I want to get a tattoo of a Europa League trophy because I'm part of that tribe now. The same way that I want to get, that I need to get one of these in my leg. And I'm waiting for these boys to win another Libertadores that has been evading us forever. But I still remember the last one we won in 2007. So I remember watching that game. I remember yelling. I remember screaming. I remember hugging my dad. But I was still kind of young. I was like 12, 13. But Placer show is your... Oh, wait, what? You want me to show you my tats? Yeah, so I have a couple. I have little ones. I have my kid's name right there, Micah. I have this one says in this life. So me and my wife have matching tattoos. So I have in this life, she has, and in the next. So it's like we'll be together forever type thing. I have a crown of thorns here to represent my faith. These like me And then I don't know if you can see, I have a number 10 right here for me and my wife's 10-year anniversary. And then right here, I have my daughter's name in Greek. And then on this side, I have a heart that resembles my youngest daughter, because whenever she was in the womb, they told us that she was probably going to have a heart defect. And it was a difficult time in a sense, because, as parents, you get scared when they tell you stuff like that. So me and my wife, we prayed a lot, and, we thought about it a lot, and thanks to God, she came out and her heart was perfectly fine. So we just kind of have that to remind us of like the grace of God. And then this little one right here says Caleb. I don't have a Messi tattoo. Sorry to disappoint everybody, but I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, "Hey, if they go back to back, you have to get a Messi tattoo." So if also don't let my wife hear this, but if Argentina wins back, if they go back to back, I'm gonna shave my head. I'm gonna go blonde again, and I'm probably gonna get a Messi related tattoo. So I probably won't get his face, but it's gonna be something Messi related. So I just kind of have to, it has to be. I have to honor the men that gave me so many great happiness, and I still have to get, like I said, my World Cup tattoo that I've been slacking on for years. But if they go back to back, boy, I'm going nuts. Pero bueno, I think I've done a lot of talking, boys and girls. It's an hour. I know there's a few of you watching. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Any comments? It's weird that there's a lot of people watching and we only have a couple commenting. Please comment. Let me know anything that you have in your mind. Let me know before we go. We'll give you about a minute or two. And as we shut down here, once again, I want to thank everybody that made. Honestly, I say this a lot, but I think it's worth repeating. I want to say thank you specifically to three guys specifically, because I feel like they have done a lot for soccer in our community. We're Bayou City Soccer is a whole team. Shout out to everybody in Bayou City Soccer. We are a beautiful team. We have created something beautiful, and I hope you guys are enjoying our content. But the masterminds behind all this are Dustin. I wish you guys knew how much Dustin has done for soccer here in Houston. It's freaking incredible. This man, I always tell people, Dustin has done more for soccer in Houston than the Houston Dynamo has done in the Dash. And name them. Dustin Richardson has done more for soccer in Houston than anybody. And I'll put him, and I want to say Glenn too, Glenn Davis as well. But I think Dustin Richardson and Glenn Davis are probably the two freaking goats. I mean, Glenn has been having his radio show and he's been doing it publicly, right, in a sense. But Dustin Richardson has been on the background with blogs, with a bunch of Total MLS show, with Dynamo Theory, with Bayou City Soccer. He's been running freaking soccer through his veins since the beginning of time, and he's passing it on to the next generation. His daughter's an amazing soccer player, and I think he's gonna have a great time with her as she progresses and gets better. But shout out to Dustin, he's awesome. He does great things. Shout out to Rudy. Rudy, if you guys don't know, he's one of the homies. I don't want to say he's my best friend, but we're really close, and I love that guy. So he might be my best friend. Who knows? but Rudy is amazing. We shared many things. We shared tears together. We prayed for each other. We've done great things. We know each other's families, not only with him but with Dustin and everybody. But Rudy, honestly, all the hard work that these guys do day in and day out. I mean, they're already. You guys think that we're all watching World Cup games? No, Rudy and Dustin are prepping freaking conversations with Dynamo people right now. I know I probably wasn't supposed to say this. I'll probably get fired for this. I'll get fined for this. But they're working on stuff right now. So stay tuned because there will be Dynamo content coming out soon. Regarding the World Cup and the Dynamo together. And then also Joey. Joey also has been like a freaking stone since the beginning. He came in. He's been doing awesome. Even though he lives in a whole different state, he's been putting in work consistently. And he's super smart. And might as well, man, throw JP, throw Manny, throw Maddie, throw David in Spanish. He does great work. Throw all the photographers, Omar, Ricky, Aldo. Who else am I missing? There's been a lot of people that came and went, and we love those people too, man. They were part of the growth of everything, and honestly, everybody did their part, man. And I just think I really love these guys. We used to call him freaking Matt, but Diego does great work as well. And Dynastats, he's part of the group. Edson Ochoa. We have a bunch of people, man, that honestly, and shout out to Billy in the sky. But yeah, man, we're all great group. Go follow Bayou City Soccer, BayouCitySoccer.net. I'm gonna shut up now. We've been here forever. Thank you, Jay Hurtado, for tuning in. Thank you, Jeff, as well. Do we have any Dynamo preseason break news? Honestly, right now we have nothing. We just saw Weissner, the guy that came in, didn't play. He just got bought by somebody else. So old news. But the boys are working on stuff already. So they are back in training. Don't forget they have the friendlies. I think there's a post about it already. Free tickets. Actually, I don't know if they're free. But make sure if they are free, go get them. If they're not free, make sure you go get them because they're probably gonna be cheap. So we play América de Cali, Nacional, I don't know. We play a Colombian team and we play an Honduras team. So Dynamo should be back, and I think we're fully back into our Dynamo gears on July 22nd. I think that's when we're back in action. July 22nd against DC United, and I think we are away. Home. We're home. Yeah, we're home. We're home against DC United on a Wednesday, July 22nd. And then Saturday, 25th, we're against Austin FC, which has become and will be a freaking sold out game. And we're going to whoop Austin's ass. You heard it here first. All right, boys and girls, I'll shut up now. I got to go to bed. See you guys later. Thank you so much. Love and affection to everybody. Don't forget, stay positive. Jay Hurtado, as always. And we'll see you guys. You didn't color code. That board is all for show. I did color code it. It's purple and orange, believe it or not. Also, I need to update the goals. I'm a slacker, bro. I slack a lot. But it's color coded. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody listening. Thank you, everybody watching. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell for notifications. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad. And love you all the fathers. Ciao, 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 ciao. Ciao. That's from a TV show in Argentina. Damn, so many clicks to get out of this. Bye, guys.